Something brought you here. And it wasn't random. You're in a very specific place right now. A place most people never reach. Not because they can't, but because when they arrive here they panic and retreat. They go back to what they know, even if what they know makes them miserable. But you're still here, still watching, still looking for words that match what you've been feeling but couldn't explain. So let me explain it for you. The person you've been for all these years is fading. Not slowly, not someday, right now. And you can feel it happening. That uncomfortable sensation, that restlessness, that feeling like you're outgrowing your own skin. That's not anxiety. That's transition. That's the end of one version of you making space for another. And this message found you, because you're finally ready to stop fighting it. Here's what nobody tells you about personal identity. Most of what you think of as you is just patterns you've repeated so many times they feel permanent. The way you react when someone criticizes you. The way you handle stress. The way you talk to yourself when you fail. The way you show up in relationships. The choices you make when you're scared. None of that is who you are. It's who you've practiced being. And you've practiced so long that it feels like truth. Like this is just how you're wired. Like you were born this way, and there's nothing you can do about it. But that's the lie your nervous system tells you to keep you safe. Because your brain doesn't care if you're happy. It only cares if you're alive. And the version of you that's kept you alive this far, no matter how limiting or exhausting or small, feels safer than any version you haven't tested yet. So you keep running the same program, making the same choices, having the same reactions, ending up in the same situations with different faces in different places but the same outcomes. And you're tired. Not from working hard, not from life being difficult. You're tired from carrying a version of yourself that doesn't fit who you're becoming. Like wearing clothes 3 sizes too small, and wondering why you can't move freely. That exhaustion you feel, that's your signal. That's your system telling you it's time to let go. You know you need to change. You've known for a while. But every time you get close to actually doing it, something stops you. Fear rises up. Doubt creeps in. You find reasons to wait, to prepare more, to stay just a little bit longer in the version of yourself you know. And if you're honest, really honest, it's not the future version of you that scares you. It's the letting go of who you've been. Because that person, even with all their flaws and limitations and wounds, is familiar. You understand them. You know how they think, how they'll react, what they're capable of. They're predictable. And predictable feels safe, even when it's painful. The thought of releasing that person feels like losing yourself. Like you won't know who you are anymore. Like you'll be floating in space with nothing to hold on to. But here's what that fear is really protecting. It's protecting the identity you built around your wounds. The person who learned to be strong because vulnerability felt dangerous. The person who learned to be small because taking up space caused problems. The person who learned to please everyone because rejection felt like death. Those adaptations served you once. They got you through situations you didn't have the tools to handle any other way. And there's nothing wrong with who you had to become to survive. But survival mode was never meant to be your permanent state. And the version of you that got you here cannot take you where you need to go. Look at your life right now. Really look at it. The relationships you're in, or keep choosing. The work you're doing. The way you spend your time. The thoughts that loop through your mind on repeat. Now look back 5 years. Different circumstances maybe. Different people. Different problems. But the same patterns underneath. The same dynamics. The same version of you responding to new situations with old programming. You keep attracting the same type of person, even though you swear this one is different. You keep hitting the same ceiling, even though you're working harder. You keep feeling the same emptiness, even though you're checking all the boxes you're supposed to check. And you wonder why nothing fundamentally changes. Why you can change your job, your city, your relationship status, but still feel like you're living the same life. It's because you're trying to create a new life while operating from an old identity. And that doesn't work. The old version of you is built for the old life. They literally cannot create anything different, because they're made of the same thoughts, same beliefs, same fears that created what you already have. You can't think your way into a new life using the same mind that created your current one. You can't become someone new while staying someone old. One of them has to go. And it's not going to be the new you. Not anymore. Because the new you is already here, just underneath the surface, waiting for permission to emerge, waiting for you to stop resuscitating the version that's already finished. When I say your old self is dying, I don't mean you need to destroy your entire life. I don't mean you need to cut everyone off or move across the country or burn everything down. I mean, you need to stop being loyal to thoughts that no longer serve you. Stop defending beliefs you only hold because you've held them for a long time. Stop making choices from fear when you know deep down what the aligned choice is. The death of your old self is quiet. It happens in small moments. It happens when you catch yourself about to react the way you always do. And you pause. You feel the urge to shrink, and you stay full-sized anyway. You hear the old voice telling you you're not enough, and instead of believing it, you just notice it's there. That noticing, that awareness, that's where the death happens. Because you can't be aware of a pattern and stay trapped in it at the same time. Awareness itself begins to dissolve the grip. But here's the uncomfortable part. When you stop being who you've always been, there's a gap, a space between who you were and who you're becoming. And in that space, you don't know who you are. Everything feels uncertain. You question decisions you used to make automatically. You feel awkward in conversations that used to feel natural. People treat you the same way they always have, but it doesn't fit anymore, and you don't know how to tell them you've changed. This gap is where most people turn back, because not knowing who you are feels worse than being someone you've outgrown. The discomfort of uncertainty feels more dangerous than the pain of staying stuck. But if you can sit in that gap, if you can tolerate not knowing who you are for just a little while, something remarkable happens. The new version of you isn't something you have to create. It's something that emerges naturally once you stop forcing yourself to be the old version. The person you're becoming isn't actually new. They've been there the whole time. Underneath all the programming, underneath all the armor, underneath all the ways you learned to be that weren't really you. Think back to who you were before the world told you who you should be. Before you learned that some parts of you were too much and other parts weren't enough. Before you started performing to earn love and hiding to avoid rejection. That person, that core of you, never went anywhere. They just got buried. And every year you spent being who you thought you needed to be, the layers got thicker until you forgot there was someone underneath it all. But they've been there, waiting, sending you signals your whole life that something wasn't right, that you were living someone else's version of your life, that you were capable of more, meant for more, made for more than the small space you were occupying. Those signals, that discomfort, that restlessness, that was your real self trying to get your attention, trying to remind you that you're not who you've been pretending to be. And now finally, you're listening. Finally, you're ready to let the pretending stop, to let the performance end, to let the old version fade so the real one can finally breathe. You don't let go by force. You can't kill the old version of yourself through willpower or discipline, or just deciding to be different. You let go by stopping the maintenance, by stopping the constant reinforcement of who you used to be. Every time you catch yourself having the same thought you've had 1,000 times, and instead of running with it, you just observe it. Every time you feel the old reaction rising, and instead of acting on it, you pause. Every time someone expects the old you to show up, and you show up differently, even if it's uncomfortable, that's how the old self fades. Not through dramatic action, but through subtle withdrawal of energy. You stop feeding the patterns. You stop rehearsing the identity. You stop agreeing with the voice that tells you who you are based on who you've been. And it feels strange at first, like you're not being authentic, like you're pretending to be someone you're not. But that's just the old programming defending itself. The truth is, you've been pretending your whole life. You've been pretending that the survival version of you is the real version. Being who you actually are. Underneath all that, that's not pretending. That's finally being honest. Once you stop maintaining the old version, once you stop trying to keep them alive, everything shifts. Not all at once, not in obvious ways, but you'll notice things changing. People will respond to you differently. Some will be confused, some will be uncomfortable, some will try to pull you back into who you were, because that version felt safer for them. And some will celebrate you. Some will say they've been waiting for this version of you to show up. You'll make different choices, not because you're forcing yourself to, but because the old choices just don't appeal to you anymore. The things you used to tolerate become intolerable. The situations you used to stay in become impossible to remain in. You'll think different thoughts, not because you're trying to be positive or practicing affirmations, but because the old thought patterns just don't run automatically anymore. You've interrupted the loop enough times that it's lost its power, and you'll feel different in your own skin. Lighter, clearer, more solid, like you're finally standing on ground that's actually yours, instead of borrowed from someone else's idea of who you should be. That feeling, that settledness, that's what you've been searching for. Not in another person, not in another achievement, not in another version of your life, in yourself, in being who you actually are, instead of who you learn to be. You've been waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to let go, that it's okay to stop being who you've been, that it's okay to disappoint people who loved the old version, that it's okay to outgrow the life you built when you didn't know any better. This is me telling you, it's okay. More than okay. It's necessary. The old version of you has done their job. They got you here. They kept you safe. They carried you through things you weren't sure you'd survive, and you can honor them for that. You can thank them. You can recognize what they did for you, and then you can let them rest. You can release them. You can stop trying to keep them alive when they're already finished, because holding on to who you were doesn't honor them. It just keeps you from becoming who you're meant to be, and who you're meant to be is waiting. Not in the future, right now, right underneath the surface, ready to emerge the moment you stop blocking them. If this landed, if you recognize yourself in these words, if you're standing at the edge of letting your old self fade, go to the comments and type these 4 words, "The old me fades." That's it. No explanation, no story, just those 4 words. Because when you declare it, when you name what's happening, you're not just observing anymore. You're participating. You're saying yes to the transition. You're giving yourself permission to stop holding on. And if you know someone who's stuck being who they used to be, someone who's afraid to let their old version die, share this with them. Ask them to write it too. The old me fades. Because sometimes we need to hear that we're not alone in this process, that other people are releasing their old selves too. Your old self is fading, not someday, not when you're ready, right now, and fighting it, resisting it, trying to hold on just makes it harder. Let them go, with gratitude, with respect, with recognition of what they did for you, and step into who you're becoming, not who you think you should be, not who anyone else wants you to be, who you actually are, underneath everything you had to become. That person has been waiting long enough. It's time.